Hey, I'm Steve with the Scroll Saw Workshop, and let's talk about the most misdiagnosed problem with the scroll saw. I'm over here at my Seiko scroll saw tonight, and the problem I'm going to talk about actually pertains to almost any scroll saw, but specifically we're going to talk about how to fix the scroll saws that use this T-style thumb screw to clamp your blade in. And that will include the DeWalt, which you see over my shoulder here, also the Jet, the Excalibur, the King, the Delta 4694. All of these scroll saws use this same T thumb screw to clamp the blade into the clamps. See what just happened there? Blade slipped out of the clamp. This is a very common problem. I get tons of emails on this every year for people who tell me they can't make the blades stay in the clamps. I want to talk tonight about what causes this and some of the things you should and should not do to try to prevent it from happening. On all of the machines I just talked about, what they have in common is, of course, the T-style thumb screw. And on the left side, or you can put it on either side, there will be a small set screw. The set screw and the thumb screw pinch together in exactly the middle of this clamp, and that's what holds the blade in when you push it in there. The blade gets clamped between the set screw and the thumb screw. So typically what happens is when this blade starts slipping out of one of the clamps, people will come and they will just start tightening this tighter and tighter and tighter. And that's absolutely not what you want to do. If you over tighten this on most of these machines, you will eventually spread these two halves of the clamp apart, and then the set screw and thumb screw will not come together and clamp evenly, and the problem will even get worse. Another solution that many people who have this style machine have found over the years is that they will take this thumb screw out of the machine, and they will take the surface area right here of the thumb screw and they'll lightly scuff it up with sandpaper. And while that does work, it's usually a temporary fix, and there's actually a better solution that I'm going to show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to the workbench so we can get a closer look, and I'll show you the most effective way to prevent this problem. In front of me here on my workbench, I've got the T-style thumb screw that we just took out of the Seiko scroll saw. There's a couple different styles of these. This is the what I call the diamond shaped style. The DeWalt scroll saw tends to come with an S style, but they are all similar in the way they work up here on the threaded portion of the thumb screw. What a lot of people will do, like I said, they'll try filing this down, and after a while they realize that it's just worn out and they'll order a new thumb screw. And that's fine, that works, but it's only part of the problem, and it's a more expensive way to solve the problem than I've got for you here tonight. Over here on my right hand is what is called a quick clamp renewal kit. And you can buy these kits at Seiko.com, and I'll have a link in the description. And if you're viewing this from the blog, there'll be a link in the blog entry. And what you get with this renewal kit is you get 2 set screws, both for the top and bottom clamp, and you get 2 rotating clamp pads. Now these clamp pads are what most people don't know about. These pads actually go in the tip of this thumb screw, and what a lot of people overlook or are not familiar with is that the pad on the end of this thumb screw is actually removable. Now, they didn't make it that way just to make it easier to replace or to make it less expensive. This pad actually rotates when you go to tighten this thumb screw down on the blade. As it gets tight, this will cinch up, but it will rotate, and that prevents this thumb screw from actually bending the end of the blade. Some of your less expensive scroll saws don't have this feature, and it's a very nice feature of all these scroll saws to have this. And it's very simple to replace. You just simply grab it with your fingernails, pull it right out, okay? And you'll notice here that there's a little rubber gasket on the end of this clamp pad, and that's what holds it in place. So all you have to do is order this renewal kit, which on Seiko runs about $6.30, and then I think you have to pay some shipping on top of that. But I generally get a whole package of them. They're not that inexpensive, and I replace them often enough that I always want to have some handy, because it's extremely frustrating when you're in the middle of a project and that blade keeps slipping out of the clamps. If you've experienced that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I make sure I always have some of these on hand. Now, of course, I've got multiple scroll saws, so that's another reason why I have so many of them. If you only have the one scroll saw, if you just ordered 2 or 3 packs of these, you'd be set for quite a while. If you're scrolling on one of these machines full time, and by full time I mean more than 5 or 6 hours a day, you're going to go through these probably every 2 months, 3 months at the most. If you're a weekend scroller, you might only replace these a couple times a year, but they do wear out, and it's very valuable to have these on hand just to eliminate the frustration. So when you go to replace this renewal kit, do not just take the one clamp that you think's giving you a problem and renew it. Put the whole kit in. Put the set screws in, the upper and bottom clamps, and put the rotating clamp pads in both of the thumb screws. Get them all done all at one time. If you don't, you're just asking for trouble. So again, I'll put the link in the description at Seiko.com. All of these thumb screws are made with this little tip right here, and this is really worth its weight in gold to have these handy. Now again, you can order the whole thumb screw. I don't know why you would ever need to, but you can. But I've seen these range anywhere from $15 up to $25 for this, because they are kind of a unique screw with this little rotating tip on there, so they're fairly expensive. So don't do that. Go to Seiko.com, get you some renewal kits, and be ready when that frustration of the blade slipping out of the clamp starts to happen to you. I'm Steve Good. Thanks for being here with me at the Scroll Saw Workshop. Catch you next time.